Hi, welcome back to another episode of Tape Time with Tom. My name is Chris, and today we'll be doing another round of VHS Haul. We'll be taking a look at some of the VHS tapes that I got in the past couple of months. I have now officially gone through all the VHS tapes that I got from my local thrift store when they stopped selling VHS tapes, excluding the box of the tapes that are a little bit moldy. I'll be taking care of those ones sometime in the future. Now, the input that I've been getting more or less fairly periodically is from my local library. So when people donate books to the local library, sometimes people donate some VHS tapes. So normally they would just go ahead and toss those, but I have an in, and whenever they had to get a box, they call me, and I go and pick it up. So I have many bins of VHS tapes now, as well as some bins from a local family friend. Over the next couple episodes of these VHS hauls, I'm just going to be grabbing one of these bins and I'm just going to kind of dive into them. So this episode is going to be a little smaller. The box I happen to grab was fairly recent, but it's also a little smaller compared to some of the other ones. But we're also going to be taking a look at some stuff that I got either online or locally. So no matter what, this is going to be a good episode. I think we have some really fun stuff to talk about, and I'm excited to dive in. So let's go and hop to it. So even though this is going to be a smaller episode compared to the others, we'll still go through all the VHS tapes that I already have in my collection, and then we'll take a break and we'll move on to those that are new additions afterwards. But yeah, let's go ahead and just kind of talk through some of these ones that I already have. First up is going to be Clint Eastwood in The Line of Fire from Wolfgang Petersen. I recently briefly talked about Wolfgang Petersen in my Abyss video because he directed Das Boot, and I think it'd be really cool to watch this because, you know, Clint Eastwood is the OG. Maybe besides Harrison Ford, Clint Eastwood is one of the actors that I have the most movies in my collection so far. But yeah, I really want to dive into his filmography, both directing and solely acting. I think that'd be really fun. So this is definitely up there. This is gonna be a lot of fun to watch one of these days. Up next is going to be American Pie, and I think I mentioned this in one of my other previous episodes when I got this. But yeah, American Pie is a movie that I never really watched when I was younger. I was always aware of it, especially the joke that everyone says, like, hey, you ever been to band camp and stuff like that. I think it's great how Eugene Levy is in this movie, and for my only awareness of Eugene Levy prior to just a couple of years ago was being like the weird kind of a little pervy dad in these American Pie movies. So I'm very happy that he's very wholesome now in Schitt's Creek. It's just, if you haven't seen Schitt's Creek, it's a great show. He's fantastic. The whole family is fantastic. Maureen O'Hara is great. Dan O'Levy is great. I'm blanking on Alexa's actress's name right now, but she's great too. So definitely watch Schitt's Creek. I'll be definitely watching American Pie. This is also the Universal Special Edition, so I think this has a couple of extra stuff in there. A spotlight on location, a 10-minute behind-the-scenes look at the making of American Pie, including interviews with cast and crew, some deleted scenes, as well as an exclusive Tonic music video featuring the hot new single, Mean to Me. So I'll have a good time watching this one of these days. Up next is going to be the hit movie The Bodyguard, starring Kevin Costner and Whitney Houston. So I know that people are aware of this movie because of the hit song I Will Always Love You that Whitney Houston sings, and I know that song is absolutely killer, but I also love how that song is featured by its original writer, Dolly Parton, in The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas. So I think if you really want to have a fun evening, you would just watch both of those movies back to back as a double feature. So I've seen parts of this on television. I need to actually sit down and watch this through and through. So it'll be fun. Looking forward to it. Next is going to be Miss Congeniality. I know I just talked about this briefly in my last episode. I got a really shitty copy, like the box the box art was all ripped up and stuff. So now I have one that's going to replace that one. So I'm very happy about this. But Miss Congeniality is a great movie. You should watch it if you haven't seen it. Yeah, up next, also, you know, I barely even need to talk about this. Yeah, Jurassic Park is great. Go watch Jurassic Park if you haven't seen it. It's fantastic. I did a whole commentary on this with Kate. Yeah, go watch it. It's great. All right, and then we got a couple more. A Few Good Men. I know I got this relatively recently. For whatever reason, I didn't have this for the longest time in my collection, but now I have a different version. So I'm curious if this one is a little different from the other one that I have. But yeah, I'm a big fan of Aaron Sorkin, especially from The Social Network. So I'm looking forward to watching this sometime in the future. Cool. And now I have Men of Honor, starring Robert De Niro and Cuba Gooding Jr., and it's directed by George Tillman Jr. And I don't know much about this movie, and I kind of want to go into it a little bit blind, because I'm very curious why Cuba Gooding Jr. is in a one of those scuba, like, deep sea diving suits. So this will be kind of fun. Up next is going to be the hit movie Tombstone. My take on Tombstone is that I think the movie is going to play better on the second time around versus the first time around. I think it's an extremely rewatchable movie, but I think watching it for the first time, you're kind of left wanting a little bit more. I hope that makes sense. Last year I watched this with my buddy Mike, who has been on the channel, featured in the commentary episodes for Buzz Lightyear as well as Top Gun. So this might be a movie that we watch with him sometime in the future. It's not going to be on the calendar anytime soon, but it might be something fun to do with him. Yeah, I'm curious to see what his take is, because I know that this is a movie that he watched all the time, like as he was growing up, probably many times on television, and so it's like each of these different scenes are endlessly rewatchable and quotable. However, for the first time that I watched it, I think it was interesting where I'm just kind of like going through and watching it from the beginning to end, not knowing what's going to happen. And like, I think the ending is a little jarring. I think knowing where it's going to go to, it's going to be a lot more fun to watch. So looking forward to rewatching this again. So up next is going to be Harrison Ford in The Fugitive, and I feel bad. I still haven't watched this movie. And I know this is the Academy Award winner for Tommy Lee Jones, apparently. So I'm very excited to actually finally watch this movie, especially one of his post-Indiana Jones roles, at least the core trilogy at least. So yeah, I think in 2024 I'm going to sit down and actually watch this movie. I'm going to make it a date where I watch this, and I'm going to have a great time. And the last movie for the movies that I have in my collection already is going to be The Silence of the Lambs. This is one of my favorite movies. It's fantastic. I love it so much. I own the Criterion Blu-ray for it. I own this on a very old VHS of it as well. No, this movie's fantastic. It's great. One of the few Academy Award winners where it has like the top 5, where it's best picture, best director, best screenplay, and then best actor and best actress. It's just outstanding. And we're watching True Detective right now, True Detective Night Country with Jodie Foster. So Jodie Foster's bringing some of this movie's role of Claire Starling into her Night Country role. So I love this movie. It's fantastic. If you haven't seen it already, definitely watch it. Cool. Well, that's all the ones that I already have in my collection. Let's take a break and we'll move on to those that are new additions to my collection. And we're back from our break, and now we're going to talk about all the new movies to my collection. So let's go ahead and start off over here. We only have one clamshell. This is Walt Disney's The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. I'm surprised I don't have this because I grew up watching all of the Winnie the Pooh movies. It's interesting now that the character is now officially in the public domain. I saw the Winnie the Pooh movie when it came to theaters last year. It is not good, but also I'm willing to rewatch it, and maybe I'll do a discussion video for it later this year, maybe at the request of one of my buddies. But no, I love these kind of very old classic. I think these are the ones from the 70s. Apparently, I thought this was kind of interesting. I think this is a movie. It's feature length, but it's composed of miscellaneous little shorts. And I think Like, according to the back of this, the Winnie the Pooh and the Blustery Day was the Academy Award winner for Best Cartoon Short Subject in 1968. This feature-length movie is composed of stories. They're calling them stories, so I'm guessing it's just like little vignettes that are kind of weaved together of the Honey Tree, the Blustery Day, and Winnie the Pooh and Tigger 2. So I'm very much looking forward to rewatching this one of these days. I love these. I think they're all on Disney Plus, and I'll have to double check that, but go watch them if you haven't seen them. They're wholesome. Alrighty, we have a little stack right here. We're gonna kind of organize this for the cool ones here at the end. I'm not saying the ones at the top are not cool, but the ones at the top are the ones I'm more or less interested in, I suppose. All right, so the first one we're gonna talk about is gonna be the Nutty Professor 2, The Clumps, starring Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy is the Clumps. I think I have the first Nutty Professor. I don't remember. I remember when these movies came out. Like, I was listening to one of the Pure Cinema podcast episodes where they were talking about the February lineup for the New Beverly Cinema, and they had Patton Oswalt as one of the guests, and they were talking about Dreamgirls that stars Eddie Murphy that was playing at some point in the month. And Patton Oswalt had a take that the Nutty Professor 2, The Clumps, should have been nominated for Best Actor for Eddie Murphy because he's able to. Apparently it's a very underrated performance because he's able to have these long conversational sequences in between at least 5 of the clumps, all the while having like a whole conversation basically with himself. And it's one of those things, kind of like Tenet, where the magic trick is too simple to watch, so people think it's easy, whereas in reality it's extremely difficult. I'm very much looking forward to watching the Nutty Professor as well as the Nutty Professor 2 for the first time later this year. I think this will be a lot of fun to watch and just see how Eddie Murphy is as an actual actor. So I'm looking forward to it. As for an actor that I don't really care for, we got Steven Seagal in Under Siege. Steven Seagal is one of those actors that I just genuinely don't care for. From what I understand, is Under Siege is, I think, one of his better movies from what I've heard online. I'm looking forward to watching this. I think this will be a fun evening in the early summer, late June, when you have some friends over and you got the projector going, you got the VCR hooked up to it, and you're just watching some action movies in the summer. I think Under Siege would play pretty well in that kind of situation. So I'm looking forward to watching this at some point. It's not high on my list, but I'm willing to do it for the occasion, you know? Up next is going to be not the OG, but it's the newer, not the newest version, but the early aughts kind of version of Charlie's Angels, starring your girl Cameron Diaz, Drew Barrymore, and Lucy Liu. So I'm a big fan of Lucy Liu because of Kill Bill. I know parts of this movie. I've never seen this actually all the way through. Like, I didn't realize Crispin Glover was in this. That's crazy. Nor Sam Rockwell. I think I knew Bill Murray was in this, but I didn't realize Tim Curry was in this either. I think this will be a lot of fun to watch. Looking forward to it. So here we are with probably one of the worst movie covers on a box. It's John Wayne in the Green Berets. I've never seen the movie, but I've seen this poster before. This is one of the worst movie posters I've ever seen. I just think John Wayne looks shitty. And it just looks stupid with his mouth open like that. I just don't know why people thought this would be a good idea, you know? It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. From what I understand, this movie pales in comparison to a lot of the other Vietnam War movies. I'm interested in seeing if it actually does, but I've been so standoffish because of this poster. It just looks stupid. I just don't know what to tell you. Up next is going to be a movie that I have not heard of called Heart's War, starring Bruce Willis and Colin Farrell. Colin Farrell is one of those actors that I don't realize how long he's been around. You know, I didn't think he was like headlining movies in 2002. I think he's one of the few actors where he's managed to bounce back and forth between like action movies and, you know, prestige-worthy performances. So he'll win an Oscar one of these days. I just don't know when, but he will. So I don't know. I've never heard of this movie, so I'm kind of interested in watching this one of these days. This might be fun to watch. And the last two movies are the ones that I'm very excited to talk about. I haven't seen them, but these are the ones that I'm most interested in. So these next two movies are released through Video Treasures, just the VHS distributor. This first one is going to be POW: The Escape, starring David Carradine. Look at this. This poster is kick-ass as all to hell. The most dangerous mission, the most daring escape behind enemy lines. I can't say this is going to be the movie that's going to be the best portrayal of Vietnam, but based upon the cover, it looks kick-ass. So I'm excited to watch this. This is going to be high on my list to watch. And next up, also from Video Treasures, is going to be The Delta Force, starring Chuck Norris and Lee Marvin. The Siege, The Ordeal, The Rescue. Oh, also from 1986. Ain't that fun? This is going to be about 2 hours. Yeah. This might be a double feature sometime in the future. This is going to be a lot of fun to watch. I'm looking forward to it. These movies look awesome. I can't wait to watch them. Cool. So up next is going to be, this is a box set, unopened, though a little torn, so it's not completely mint condition. Is Our Gang. This is so it's like the Little Rascals, I think. Yeah, the Little Rascals. So this features 5 different VHS tapes. They are Little Rascals Greatest Hits, the Little Rascals Varieties, Our Gang Comedy Festival, Our Gang Comedy Festival 2, and Our Gang Story, which I think is a documentary. So I'm aware of the Little Rascals. I've never gone out of my way to watch them. My greatest awareness of the Little Rascals is The Simpsons, when Moe Szyslak reminisces about being one of the Little Rascals. This is the episode, I'm pretty sure, where Milhouse becomes a Fallout Boy for the Radioactive Man movie, and Moe Szyslak is kind of like reminiscing, like, I used to be an actor. I was one of the Little Rascals. I'm gonna have to actually watch some of these one of these days. This might be a good like intermission kind of thing. Like when we had a movie night watching with a projector underneath the stars on VHS a couple of years ago, and we watched some good action movies, but like as the intermission as well as like the epilogue, we watched like some Three Stooges that were recorded off television. So I think some Our Gang will be a lot of fun to watch in a situation like that. So I'm looking forward to it. So the last 2 tapes from this collection are going to be recorded off the television. So this first one is going to be a little more serious than other things. So this is TV recordings, apparently according to the cover, of some 9/11 television footage. So this is probably Maryland 9/11 footage. So it's going to be interesting to watch some of this stuff. I might see if I could put some of this on my second YouTube channel, Taped On with Tom 2. It'd be very interesting to see what news coverage was back in the day, because I remember it, and I know we have more and more generations of people nowadays who don't have a memory of those events. So if they're able to watch what it seemed like day of, then that's important for people to learn. So I think it'll be a good idea to share that. As well as this is something that not many people around the U.S. are aware of, but this is something that I lived through because it was near where I was. So this is television footage of the DC Sniper. So if people don't know, you could definitely Google this and get a better understanding of what actually happened, as well as those who were actually involved. But from my own personal experience of the DC Sniper is, I remember having to go in elementary school. We would go and do drills, basically like tornado drills, where you go into the halls and, basically duck and cover. We did that for the DC Sniper because he was shooting in the DC metro area, and our elementary school that I went to when I was younger was in that area, and we had no idea if he was ever going to be actually in our vicinity. So this is a very important part of history that I remember vividly from when I was younger. And it's something that's not as remembered as much as some other folks. So I encourage people to look up the DC Sniper on their own time. It's an important part. If you ask anyone in the DC Maryland area who's born in the 90s, they probably remember it at least a little bit. So It's important. Look it up. On a much lighter note, we have just a handful of other things. So I have 3 VHS tapes that I picked up online. So this one will be a lot of fun. This is going to be a commentary in the future. This is going to be Harry and the Hendersons. I got this off of Etsy, and I will put the shop that I bought this from on the top of the screen, as well as in a link below as well. But Harry and the Hendersons is one of my favorite movies. I will be doing this as a commentary with my buddy Andrew later this year, and it's not immediate, but we will be doing this within this calendar year. So then I also, last year during the Black Friday sale, I picked up some VHS tapes from Lunchbeat. I had bought some tapes from them before, and I will do it again because I think they're a great VHS distributor, and everything that they sell is legally licensed and officially distributed through them. I have I think it's technically the first VHS release of Hawk Jones. Now, this was talked about on one of the episodes for Pure Cinema Podcast. I don't remember specifically. It might have been the 80s Missing Pieces episode from a couple months ago. But the tagline is, it's the movie with the kids in it. And it is kind of like Bugsy Malone with the young Jodie Foster, but it's like an adult movie. Maybe not necessarily with adult themes, but it has like adult action, but it's all stars kids. And it's like, from what I understand, it's extremely funny to watch because they're these like little kids and they're holding like guns like that, but not in like a scary kind of way. It's like a fun movie kind of way. I am very excited to watch this. It's gonna be a lot of fun, and I highly recommend folks reach out to Lunchbeat and pick this up. I'm not officially sponsored, but I would like to be. And finally, from the stuff that I picked up online is gonna be the officially licensed release of Skinamarink. A lot of people watch this. I know they had like either a day or a week-long engagement in some theaters. My theater did not play this. My buddy Steve, who you may remember from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre as well as Legend commentary episodes, he saw this in the theater. And he told me how it's a very quiet movie. And it seems like it's not the best. It didn't seem like it was the best case scenario for watching the movie. I would have liked to have had if my theater actually played it, but I didn't get a chance to. My understanding is that most movies have a distinct way of watching the movie that's optimal. I know I've had Shudder for a while, and it's on Hulu, but I've been waiting to watch this on VHS because I feel like watching this on tape on my little TV in my basement late at night is the best time to watch this movie. So I'm very excited to finally watch this. So looking forward to it. And finally, we have 2 more movies. This isn't official promotion, but check out Third Eye if you're in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, the DMV. They recently opened a music and video store in Annapolis, and I got to check that out on their opening weekend. It is kick-ass. It looks fantastic. I was stupid. I didn't take any pictures. I wish I did. If I get a chance to take any pictures before this video comes up, I will, but if I can't, I will use some of their pictures from Instagram. I bought a record, and I wish I brought it upstairs, that I didn't. I'll have to take a picture, and I'll put it up on the screen. But I also bought 2 VHS tapes there, and I'm very excited to watch these one of these days. So the first one, I'll go ahead and do the more interesting one first, I guess. So they're all in these really cool little bags and everything, and it's all Third Eye and everything. But this is the movie called Intruders. I bought this initially from the store because I looked it up on Letterboxd. It's like under 500 people logged it, and it's like, that's interesting. I always like to try to get a movie that's underrepresented, underlogged, just to see what it's actually like, because I think it's a little bit more rare than you can find usually. But from what I understand, a lot of people don't really care for this movie. I'm very curious to see why. From what I understand, Intruders was actually a mini-series, like a 2-episode mini-series. It says it's only 162 minutes. So it's just shy of 3 hours, but online it says it's around 4 hours. So I don't know what the discrepancy is there. And then the last movie that I picked up from Third Eye is going to be another Chuck Norris movie, so I might have to do a triple feature or just a double feature with both Chuck Norris movies. But this is Lone Wolf McQuade, This also stars David Carradine, so it might be a great Chuck Norris, David Carradine triple feature kind of night. As much as I would want to do a double feature, I think a triple feature between Delta Force, POW, The Escape, and Lone Wolf McQuade is going to be an outstanding night. So yeah, that's Tape Time with Tom. Please like, comment, subscribe. We'll be having more commentaries and more VHS hauls and more reflections in the year. I could tell you for definitively, we'll be having a reflection for the Tenet 70mm release later on this year. I'm very excited for that. It's going to be a lot of fun just hyping that up because I'm already freaking hyped for it. But yeah, that's the episode. Let's go ahead and call it there. Always rewind, but more importantly, be kind. See you guys later.